People have always wanted to be fast, regardless of the risks. And while there's no shortage of ways, pushing the boundaries of speed in windsurfing is the best rush of all. Sometimes speed hurts, even in sailing. Through Michael Bazinas, this video will help you avoid mistakes and become a better sailor. During this half hour, you'll be able to see step by step what it takes to be fast and to race well. This is Speed IQ.
I'm addicted to speed. Everything I do is fast.
Okay, want to start? Let's tack. Wait, don't hit rewind, there's plenty to see. Tack to the left, tack to the right, tack, tack, tack. Hey, Micah, slow down. I'm getting dizzy. Wait a minute. Tack, tack. Oh man, no wonder this guy rips a World Cup. Okay. Let's relax and go through this gradually. So in doing these tacks, your first step will be to get out of the harness because you can't get around still hooked in. Then you have a three-step step. You'll take your front foot out of the strap and place it on the board just ahead of the strap. Then take your back foot out. Now take your front foot and place it directly in front of the mast on the board. Now, since the board is head to wind, you'll need to step around and step around quickly, never placing your feet any farther forward on the board than right at the mast. As you bring the board up into the wind, rake the rig back, sheet in, carve the board into the weather. Feet out, step around the front of the mast. Once you're head to wind, pivot around the mast, push the rig forward, and sheet in on the new tack. One key important point is after you've come around on the tack, push on the weather rail with your new front foot. This will drive the board around, sheet in, and you're away clean. Your handwork is really key to making this tack work. As you rake the rig back, you're going to move your hands around the front of the boom in a crossover. Move your front hand closest to the mast as possible. Then cross over with your other hand to the new side of the boom. Then as you step around the mast, push the sail around and sheet in on the new tack. So to review, as you wish to tack, get out of the harness. Rake the rig back, come head to wind. Move your front hand forward, do your three-step shuffle forward. And then pull the sail around in front, pivot around, put weight on your front leg, and sheet in on the new tack.
Okay, one thing that you really want to remember when you're sliding the mast in is make sure as you're putting the mast in the luff sleeve that the mast goes over the top of the cambers. This will help you when you're popping the cambers onto the mast. They're pushing down at the same time as you're pushing up on the camber. Pops on, very simple. When setting up the sail, the numbers printed on the bottom are pretty exact numbers that you can set your boom and your mast base to. Once you put the mast base in, the first downhaul tension you want to put on is very light, just basically enough to keep the rope in the cleat. Put the boom on the mast, in the lower part of the boom openings. Okay, this is a downhaul tool that just makes getting the correct amount of downhaul tension on the sail a lot easier. Basically how it works is you slide the rope through the hole on the end of the crank. Then all you do is wind the crank and it pulls it downhaul for you. There's 3 dots called the VTS. They're marked minimum, medium, and maximum. And depending on how far the wrinkle goes into those dots is about how you want to set it for the wind strength. Minimum is for light winds, early planing, quick acceleration. Medium is for medium strength winds. Maximum is for overpowered sailing and racing. Leave the leech of the sail on the ground. Then you can see how far that the wrinkle is going in. Setting up the tack strap, I usually put maximum tension on the tack strap. Gives you a little bit more shape down low, gives you a better bottom end. I tack fast, everything I do is fast.
It doesn't matter how fast you are, you gotta jibe. And if you can't do it well, the slower guys will always win. To make a great jibe, a sailor has to go into the turn with speed. Be tight at the mark and get out of the turn as fast as possible. The first step is to unhook from your harness, then take your back foot out of the strap, placing your heel at just the center line of the board in front of the rear foot strap. Put weight on that foot and bend your knees to drive the rail of the board through the jibe. In the middle of the turn, step forward with your back foot while jibing the sail. And that's right, feet and sail go together. Okay, let's watch Micah reel slowly. Comfortable on the booms. Harness unhooked. Back foot out of the strap. Bend your knees to put pressure on the rail. This gives you a lot of stability and holds the board down even in the roughest chop in the corner. Move your hand back on the boom for stability. Shoulders and knees in line. And in the middle of the turn, as you step forward, flip the sail. Looking down on this, let's look at all the points. You're going to get out of the harness, move your back foot over the line, lean over, get your weight down, move your backhand back on the booms. This is so critical for balance. If you slide your backhand farther aft on the boom, you'll be in a better position to handle rough water and gusty winds. Back foot out of the strap, bend your knees to put pressure on the rail. Move your hand back on the boom for stability, shoulders and knees in line, and in the middle of the turn, as you step forward, flip the sail. Hands and feet in unison to keep speed and perfection throughout the jibe. So one last important aspect of this jibe is what do you do with your hands working the sail? Well, just like Micah did on his tacks, he's going to do the same thing on his jibes. As he gets set and ready for the jibe, he'll do all the things we said before getting ready. Now the sail flip is key, so he'll move his front hand a little bit closer to the front of the boom cheek. And as the sail flips around, he will cross his hand over, taking the free hand to the new side of the boom, thereby giving room for his backhand to move back to sheet in on the new tack. So again, slide your hand farther forward to the front of the mast, pivot the sail as you step, cross your hand over, taking the boom with your free hand, placing your other hand farther back on the boom to sheet in on the new tack. These jibes are all carving jibes designed to maintain the most speed possible. But sometimes you might need a sharper turn, something like a snap jibe. Here, take your back foot out of the strap and place it on the tail of the board just aft of the straps. Head up into the wind a little and then lean back and pivot the board in a 180-degree turn downwind while sheeting in hard. The board will snap around in its own length. So remember the points. Out of the harness, foot on the rail, bend your knees, chest over knees, hand aft on the boom for balance and stability. When you're ready to jibe, move your feet and the sail at the same time.
Cross training is a must to stay on top. I think I'll stick to windsurfing.
I can sing you tender songs of love. I can give you merry tales of joy and laughter. I can transport you to the realms of
5 on 18, so you better believe it's the truth. And they're saying that Arnold knows he's about ready to kiss it. Now it's time I win my own Cadillac. One that's plush 11 and long and black. And girls on my jaw because they know I've won the green. If that was I'd ever dare to dream. If I could win just one tour.
Sailing in onshore conditions can be extremely fast, especially once through the whitewater. You can really go hammer down full speed, and to be able to enjoy that, you must go through the waves cleanly. One of the really fun things about being in onshore conditions are the type of jibes you can hit also. The best way to jibe and to keep speed and to help you be as fast as possible out of the corner is to use these little waves and use the ramps as they come down. You never want to get stuck on the back of the wave, so as you approach, jibe on the face, letting it push you downhill and picking up speed through the exit of your turn. This will allow you to keep a lot of speed going through to get back over the next batch of whitewater. Right here, Micah does that. It'll allow him to keep enough speed to help get him over the next batch of whitewater. Keep as much speed as possible as you approach the whitewater, and head up into the wind and the wave at the same time. Just as you feel the board lift above the chop, bear away a few degrees. Your speed will carry you over, and the wave will roll underneath your board.
Boom height is also another important thing. I use different boom heights for course racing and for slalom. For course racing, I'll usually put it up pretty high. This allows you, again, to rake the sail back a little bit farther, giving you a better performance upwind. For slalom racing, depending on the wind we're racing in, I'll move the boom down. The stronger the wind, a little bit lower I use it. This just gives you a little bit more control, allows you to keep the board down in the water a little bit better.
Sailing in heavy weather is a must for good sailors. To sail well in strong winds, you have to keep your board down on the water without crashing. And in high winds, there can be too much combined lift from your sail, board, and fin. The goal here is to maintain control by slightly bearing away and keeping steady pressure on both feet. With all the lift you've got from your sail, fin, and board, in these high winds, your legs are going to be the key to keeping a lot of control. You already know you've got to stay sheeted in, but your legs need to act like a big shock absorber. And when you get too much lift and too much weight on your back leg, the nose of the board will fly out of the water. In order to combat that, sheet in, bear away a little bit, and put more weight on your front leg, keeping the balance even. This ought to keep you trimmed and level for going as fast as possible in even the windiest of conditions. But even the best sometimes have to blow out. But trying and staying in control is the absolute key. Getting wet is slow. Yeah, okay, Cowboy Micah. All right, look, Micah's one of the best guys in the world, and that even happens to him. When you do that, your board may have a very big tendency to spin out. And if you've ever done that and caught that leeward rail, you know that kissing a boom is not a good thing. So if you want to control your rig in these kind of conditions, you've got to remember to take the weight off of your back leg. Here, Micah's keeping a lot of drive on the back leg, and the sail, board, and fin are hitting critical velocity. There's just too much power and speed and wind involved to keep it down on the water. And in this case, getting in the air is not a good thing, and it's slow. So if you want to go fast in these conditions, again, bear away, sheet in hard, put weight on both legs, and you'll be one of the fastest guys anywhere around.
For course racing, I use a little bit shorter line than I do for slalom racing. My average length for course racing is about 22 inches. This allows you to rake the sail back a little bit more for going upwind. Slalom racing, the average harness line length is about 24 to 26, 27, depending on what the wind is.
As you jump, follow these basics. Bear away a few degrees prior to the jump. Pick out your target chop and sheet in hard as you go up the ramp. Once in the air, you're flying. Now pull your feet up close to you. Stay sheeted in and plan your landing. For nose first, remain sheeted in. For a tail first landing, sheet out. As you approach the water, keep your feet tucked up close to you until you sense the landing zone getting close. Now extend your legs and reach for the water. Time it just right, and you'll have a soft landing with plenty of speed and keep on planing. And while jumping is fun, being able to control your gear at high speed sometimes demands that you jump to clear some chop, even during races. Becoming confident in those extreme conditions is a sign of a really good racer. Let's go on board now with Micah for a mark rounding.
They're going wide, I'm aiming for the buoy, trying to keep my line as tight as possible to the buoy. There they go, there's my spot inside, going inside, taking him on the inside, no problem.
All right, so now you can go fast, jump, and control the rougher conditions. But can you jibe where you might not want to? Say, maybe at a mark? Sure you can. Use what you've learned and rip around the buoy. Let's look at some strategies for going around the corners. Your keys and goals here, obviously you need to get around the buoy with as much speed as possible. And where you set up, going in and outside of the jibe around the mark, can be critical to winning or losing a race. Even if you're just with friends or at the top level of the World Cup, this is one of the most critical factors to getting around a buoy smoothly. The best thing to do is to practice, whether it's a stationary buoy, a piece of chop, a floating piece of driftwood that you can set up. If you set up too close to the buoy at first, you end up going way too far downwind, opening the door for other sailors to come inside you and get better wind and get a better advantage on you for the next leg. If you set up high on the mark to begin with and jibe the sail at or just before the buoy, you'll be able to get through with a lot of speed and take control of the race. Watch how Micah does it. All the steps we knew before. Hook out of the harness, weight forward, feet on the rail, hand back for balance. Set it up so you jibe the sail at the mark, you come around with speed, and you don't leave any room for the other sailors to get inside.
One of the main times when I'm using the adjustable outhaul system is when I'm course racing. A lot of the course races we do are upwind, downwind courses. So when you get to the top mark, you go around the top mark, you can release this all the way out, giving your sail a lot more profile, which allows you to go a lot deeper off the wind. Then when you get around the bottom mark, all you do is grab the end, pull it back in, and you're all set to go back upwind.
There are a lot of different strategies for getting around buoys, but especially when you have other sailors in the way, it really changes the mix. In these next few setups, we're going to see US 34 Micah Bazinas in 3 different positions, from outside to middle in traffic to the inside with the first rights at the mark. With this first one, you can see Mike at the top of the screen. He's setting the other sailors up by staying very high on the wind. He can make a tight arc cutting inside of the other 2 sailors with speed, and as he flips the sail at the mark, he will come around in first position and get the new wind. Now, going on board with Micah, this is right from the sailor's perspective. You set them up, cut through their weight, pressure on the rail, flip your sail, sheet in, got them. Now Micah's in a different situation. He is in between two sailors, where the bottom sailor can luff him up and the top sailor can come down on him and run him off of the course. Here, basically what you can do is ignore the guy below you, hold the one above you farther up by maintaining your course, and jibe in the water that you want. One of the biggest problems when going this fast is trying to get through the other sailor's boat wake without having a crash. There's nothing worse than being in a great position, setting up for a jibe, and stuffing your rail into the other sailor's wake. Watch how Micah keeps pressure on the rail, coming around, getting into the better position to gain an advantage. Following the steps that you've already learned in this video, while your foot on the leeward rail, bending your knees, chest over your shoulders, hand back on the boom, in balance, you'll be able to get through this chop with no problem. Now, one of the better positions to be, in front, downwind, at the mark. In this position, Micah can sail farther past the mark, holding off the other sailors and jibing in the water that he wants, finding a smooth, down-ramp piece to project his board and sail through the water faster. This is the best spot to be in. There's no boat wake, only yourself to deal with to come around the mark. You always have to keep an eye out on your other competitors, because what you try to do, they can do to you. Here, Micah makes a classic mistake and doesn't pay attention or cover the guy behind him. The sailor behind does what Micah just did, taking a higher course, getting out of the mark first. Improving your technique will make you a better sailor, and the only way to improve is to keep sailing, try new maneuvers, and never ever worry about falling. Even the best crash a lot. So work hard, push your limits, and have fun.